Good morning, friends. How are you all today? Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on this, what is going to be another exciting chat about another exciting and fascinating and eye-opening topic. So, thank you. Thank you very much. I can see there are 9 people up, and I could not have asked for a better 9 people. Hey, good morning, TM. Thank you for doing this. It's my absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you enjoyed the book. Yeah, it's such a fantastic book. I'm holding it here now. The book is called Ikigai. G'day, Suzanne. Um, yes, we never stop learning, and I think that's what makes life so interesting, is that we are always, exposing ourselves to new information, new stimulus. G'day, Stephanie. Nice to see you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about this book, Ikigai, which is I came across this book as I every few months I'll just look through certain books, and I came across this book under a health and wellness section, and I was like, oh, Japanese secret to a long and happy life. That sounds like something that firstly I've thought about before, but and I have heard of this word before, among other words that are Japanese, but I just thought, well, let's have a read. Let's see what this book is all about. And on the back of this book, it has this over here, which basically summarizes Ikigai, what you can be, well, I can't even see this, what you can be paid for, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you love. And all of that translates into your Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word for, well, there are many different ways to translate it, but specifically in the book, they translate it as one's meaning for life, one's purpose in life, one's passion in life, something that you can do repeatedly and continuously for the rest of your life, and it's something that'll bring joy to you. So that is the Ikigai. In Sanskrit, in Indian culture, in Hindi history, it's known as the Dharma. So in India, it's called the Dharma, which is again your purpose, your passion in life, and in Japan, it's called your Ikigai. But this book especially was just very, very special. Let's quickly catch up on some of the hellos. Hello, Robin. Nice to see you. G'day, Natalie. Nice to see you. Hey, Kathy. Great to have you here. Hello, Adriana. Nice to see you. So yeah, so this book is great. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have actually read the book, how many of you have are in the process of reading it, or you may be waiting for it to arrive. But we can discuss this book a little bit. And when I was reading this book, I wasn't reading it because I wanted to present it to you. I was reading it out of pure interest. So I didn't, at the time, which is when I read it, like about a month ago, I didn't take that many notes. But it'll be interesting to just talk about it, and I want this to be a discussion as opposed to a talk. I want us to just share our thoughts and our opinions. And yeah, Ruth had a great tip on our group, Alexander Down Under, saying she listened to it on YouTube and it's free there. So thanks for pointing that out, Ruth. So if you want to listen to the book and you don't really quite have the funds at the moment, you can just go to YouTube and you can listen to the book. But I also recommend buying the book if you get a chance, because it's actually a good read as well. It's nice to also read it, but it's fantastic to listen to. It's such a good topic, and they cover so much. So basically, the whole idea behind the book is that a man by the name of Hector Garcia investigates, and Francesc Miralles, they investigate the places in the world, and in this case, Okinawa in Japan, in which people live over 100 years old. A large number of people in those places live till over 100 years old. And that phenomena has piqued the curiosity and the interest of a lot of people worldwide, and a lot of people have been investigating and trying to understand what is it about those places. And it's not just Okinawa in Japan. We're talking Sardinia. There are other places around the world in which people live till over 100. There is somewhere in the US as well, Seventh-day Adventists. They also live long lives. So this has propelled Hector and Francesc to investigate what is it, to investigate the root cause of what is it that makes people live this long? So he went out there and visited, he studied it, he read more about it. So I'm going to go through bit by bit. I'll look through and I'll just summarize what I basically gathered from it. Okay. But it's, let me just go. So again, as I was saying to you before, the word Ikigai basically, is the reason we get up out of bed every morning. Everyone has an Ikigai. And it is a mysterious word, but ultimately, it comes down to a few things. Firstly, it comes down to living your purpose, doing things in life that really just give you an incentive to get out of bed, and always staying active. So there's this misconception in Western cultures that when you retire, you should just basically do nothing and relax, and that could not be further from the truth in terms of wanting to live a fulfilling and long life. And they sort of debunk this in Okinawa and in a lot of those other places in which people live over 100 years old. They are always active. They're always doing something. They're always engaging in activities and staying active. So that was very interesting. I got my notes. My notes are over there. I took some notes. I'll grab them in a second, but I'll just go off. So he talks about a few things, right? He talks about how you can find your flow in life, and how you can turn your free time and your free time into spaces for growth, right? So how you can take that void in your free time and turn it into an opportunity to grow. He talks about, he also quotes some of the world's oldest living people, and you know what? I'm actually going to go through some of those quotes so we can hear what they have to say. He talks about diets, about the Ikigai diet, or the what is it about? What is it that the world's longest living people, what do they eat? What is the common diet that they have in Okinawa that enables them to live for so long? So I'll discuss that briefly. And the fact they're always active, they're always doing something, engaging in some sort of activity. They're keeping not just the body active, but the mind active. He talks about they do Tai Chi, they do a lot of activities, yoga in some cases, that involve body movements. So that was very interesting. So where should we begin from? And then as we're having this chat, this conversation, feel free to chime in what you've gathered and gained from the book, and we can elaborate on that a little bit further. I just don't have my notes on me right now. Yeah. So let's begin with I want to begin with a quote, right? By one of the people. One second. So here are, one second. Where is it? That's all right. That's all right. Give me a second. Where is the quote? I took a few quotes I wanted to share with you. Here it is. 101. Okay. Okay. So here's some of the quotes that I'll read to you, and then we can discuss a little bit longer. So Ruth is saying, I think social connection is one of the most important things. People cannot flourish so well in isolation. Yes, so that's one of the things that have really stood out as well. The fact that they are always involved in the community. There's community interaction, there's community involvement. And one thing, and thanks for bringing that up, Ruth, one thing that stood out to me was that they all help, like within their community, they help each other out. They all have their designated roles, and they they back each other up when they need it. So there's that, which is a very important and fundamental element in growth and in having a very successful community. TM, gardening and growing your own vegetables seem to be a key element for ones who have lived long lives. Interesting. Healthy eating habits and exercise are very important. Yes, absolutely. So here's some of the great points here. Absolutely. So yeah, and that goes back to always having something to do, like a positive purpose, positive motivations, and gardening is one of them. So gardening is a great way to stay active and do so. Have food in your garden. So there's that as well, which is great. So here's some quotes from some of the oldest living people. They haven't really given the names, but let's just and this I'll give you a quick quote. One says, "I plant my own vegetables and cook them myself. That's my Ikigai." So there you go. That's that person's good habit that they engage in. Another one says, "The secret to a long life is not to worry and to keep your heart young. Don't let it grow old. Open your heart to people with a nice smile on your face. If you smile and open your heart, your grandchildren and everyone else will want to see you." It's very true, isn't it? The next person says, "The best way to avoid anxiety is to go out in the street and say hello to people. I do it every day. I go out there and say hello and see you later. Then I go home and care for my vegetable garden. In the afternoon, I spend time with friends." I'll read one more. "Here, everyone gets along. We try not to cause problems. Spending time together and having fun is the only thing that matters." Now, notice something that is a little bit different here. Firstly, they're all happy. They all remain positive. They all do not let, things get to them. Always try to transmit the positivity onto others. And again, they have a physical purpose, gardening, and it can be a hobby that they engage in. So that's a very good one. The thing, oh, sorry, I just saw a comment. Yeah, I love that concept too, TM. It's actually quite brilliant. Here's another person says, "Here, everyone gets along. We try not to cause problems. Spending time together and having fun is the only thing that matters." Love that. So these are just some of them. And then with regards to good habits, for example, cultivating good habits. Let's see. Suzanne saying they don't have to be long-term goals, but things. Yeah, exactly. And they should be short things that we do in the moment that we focus on every day that makes every day relevant. 100%. Let me just quickly. Okay. So here are a few more quotes. We can discuss the quotes because I really want to delve more into how they think that helps them live till over 100. And one of the things they talk about in the book is how one of the things they talk about in the book is how important it is for them to meditate and how important it is to not be anxious, how important it is to remain calm and always remain positive and grateful and loving. And those are such important components in living till over 100. And yeah, so here they say, "I wake up every day at the same time early and spend this morning in my vegetable garden." That's a different person. "I go dancing with my friends once a week." Again, so there are a few things. There's a vegetable garden, again, which is their Ikigai. And then that obviously translates to them also eating well. They also go dancing with their friends. So there's also the social element, which is, just engaging in a very social and positive way of living. This one person says, "To live a long time, you need to do three things. You need to exercise to stay healthy, eat well, and spend time with people." It's very, very true. Suzanne is saying they all seem to live simple, to have simple lives. Exactly. And that's a very important part of it, isn't it? Just having a simple life and not overcomplicating things. Because, that also translates to less stress, less anxiety. TM saying, "Unfortunately, we don't seem to have that sense of community here in the US like they do in areas of Japan." And not just in the US, TM, it's unfortunately the case in a lot of other countries. And it is not good because ultimately, as humans, we thrive in communities. We're social. We use our peers to uplift us and to feed us with energy and positivity and purpose, really. So, and speaking of the community, here are a few quotes regarding community. Talking each day with people you love, that's the secret to a long life, says one person. And then another one says, chatting and drinking tea with my neighbors, that's the best thing in life. And singing together. Beautiful. Another one says, my main hobby is getting together with friends and neighbors. So another key, so there are a lot of keys. So the first one that I can gather so far is do not worry. Okay, so that's, if I was to summarize the book and what they suggest to follow, the first one is do not worry. If you want to achieve your sense of Ikigai, the first one is do not worry. The second one is create good habits. As we're talking about good habits, being friendly to your neighbors, gardening, going to dances, eating well. Those are good habits. So that will be the second principle. The third principle will be nurture your friendships every day. Okay, that will be the third Ikigai principle from the book. So always, keep your friends close to your heart. Be there for the people in your community. Bring value to your community in whichever way is easiest for you or is best for you. So that's another one. The fourth principle of Ikigai would be to live an unhurried life. So don't rush, don't stress, don't put yourself under the pump like we do in a lot of Western cultures. We're always in a hurry. We're always trying to get to places, and that results in a lot of bad things. Well, firstly, it results in not having firstly, time flies. Time just absolutely flies when you're always in a hurry. But secondly, you don't really get to enjoy the good things in life. You just, everything just passes by, and then as time does fly, you wake up one day and you just realize that you haven't really enjoyed those years that have just passed by. So, regarding the living a hurried life, let's check out some of the quotes pertaining to this principle. And Suzanne's saying they obviously have a lot less stress. 100%, 100%. Hey Joyce, it is morning here in Melbourne. Exactly, TM. Multitasking is also a very bad thing that we have now embraced in the Western world, and it seems to be something that people seem to be proud of. I can multitask, but studies actually have shown that multitasking can cause more bad than good. It can actually be more to our detriment than it can be to our benefit because our minds are not designed to multitask to such extents. Engaging in focusing on one thing at a time is actually not only more productive, it's 50% more productive to focus on one thing at a time, but it's also better for your mind. So the fourth one was live an unhurried life. So let's just check out some of those quotes. So someone says, my secret to a long life is always saying to myself, slow down and relax. You'll live much longer if you're not in a hurry. And these are all people over 100. Another person says, doing many different things every day, always staying busy, but doing one thing at a time without getting overwhelmed. We just talked about that, TM. You just mentioned that we do multitask too much, and this person's saying you have to do different things, but one thing at a time without getting overwhelmed. There you go. Proof's in the pudding. Lastly, another person says, the secret to long life is going to bed early, waking up early, and going for a walk, living peacefully and enjoying the little things, getting along with your friends, spring, summer, fall, winter, enjoying each season happily. That's a very grateful mindset. That's a very positive and optimistic way to look at life, which leads us to our fifth point. Our fifth ingredient to achieving Ikigai is optimism. You have to be optimistic and you have to see life in a very positive way. You have to see things positively. And here are a few quotes from some of the centurions. Every day I say to myself, today I'll be full of health and energy. Live it to the fullest. This person is 98 years old. She says, I'm 98, but I consider myself young. I still have so much to do. Another person says, laugh. That's an important one. Laughter is so important. Laughter is the most important thing, they say. I laugh wherever I go. And then another person says, I'm going to live to be 100. Of course I am. It's a huge motivation for me. Motivation, having a goal of wanting to live long, wanting to live a long life is also important. And lastly, I'll read one more. I do volunteer work to give back to the village a bit of what it has given to me. For example, I use my car to help friends get to the hospital. And that's a very important point, you know. What's that? That's a very important point because because we have to be there for our community members. We have to know. It gives us a lot of comfort. It gives us a lot of, just a lot of relief to know that when we are in need, our members of the community are here for us. So that is one of the key important things of Ikigai. Now, another thing they touched on in the book, they talked a lot about diet as well. And that was actually one of my favorite chapters in the book, when they talked about what is it that the people in Okinawa, who a lot of them live till over 100, a lot of them on their way to living to over 100, what is it that they do and what is it that they eat that helps them live such a long, and not only long, because I mean you want to live a long life, but you want to also live a happy life. I mean, there's no point living a long life if it's not fulfilling. So what is it that helps them live a long and fulfilling life and happy and carefree? So what is it about that? So the diet that they seem to recommend, firstly, before we even delve into diet, how much do you eat? When do you stop eating? And they have this thing called the 80% rule. I'm not sure if you've heard of the 80% rule. The 80% rule means that you eat, but then you stop when you're 80% full. So when you feel like you can still eat a little bit more, when you feel like you can still eat a dessert or like maybe a few more bites, at that point you stop. And then it usually takes the body a few moments to even realize you're full. But apparently that just leaves your body in a very good point. You don't get too full, you don't lose motivation, you don't get sleepy. So that is a very interesting rule that they've actually put together and have realized. So the 80% rule, remember that. So if you want to apply Ikigai to your life, then in terms of the diet, you do that already. Perfect. That's so good, Suzanne. And I've been doing it too recently. I've always been the kind of guy to eat until I could physically not put anything in my mouth anymore. And that's just me. But now I've come to realize that it's not the way to go. So now I've been stopping at 80%. And it is tough because I really do love eating. I had pizza yesterday and I could have had another slice, but I stopped and I just, because now we're following the Ikigai diet. So you eat smaller meals. And if you look at Japanese food, for example, Japanese food involves smaller meals. If you go to a Japanese restaurant, they usually give you small portions and it's actually very good for you. So 80%, you stop when you feel like you can still eat a few more bites and you stop. And that's exactly. Small plates, small meals in Japan. And for us Westerners, we can find that to be a little bit, it can be a little like not enough for some of us, but it's the way to go. It's the way to go. Ruth is saying, they say if you eat too quickly, your brain doesn't realize you're full. Yeah, that's I've heard the same thing. So exactly, it takes the brain 20 minutes to realize that you are full. So you could be full, but your brain hasn't realized it. So you're still eating and you're eating too much, more than you should. So you stop at 80%, give it another 20 minutes, let your brain realize that it actually is full, and then you'll be at 100%. So drinking a lot of water is a personal tip that I would recommend as well. Drinking a lot of water helps because it just helps keep the body, running very well. Helps. I mean, we are 70% water. We need water in our bodies. Another thing they mentioned in the book about diet, about the Ikigai diet, is they eat a lot of fruit organic fruit, a lot of organic vegetables. So in many ways, they follow a plant-based diet. And they do eat a little bit of fish, which is interesting because in a lot of those islands like Sardinia, and I forgot the island in Greece, what it's called, but in those islands, they, seafood is a big part of their diets because obviously they're islands. So they will eat seafood. They will eat fish, but only once or twice a week. They'll eat meat very, very rarely. So they very rarely, if not at all, like some of them don't even eat meat. They very rarely eat meat. And 80% of the time, they just eat vegetables and fruit. And tofu. They eat a lot of tofu, and they eat soy milk. They drink soy milk. So a lot of their food is plant-based. Yes, and a lot of rice. That's true. And they eat a lot of rice. They eat rice, and rice is a fantastic ingredient. It fills you up. So I'd say that would be their diet. I've actually found that chapter if you want to. So these are some of the ingredients that they found in the Okinawan Ikigai diet. So these are things they eat, right? Tofu, miso, tuna, carrots, goya, which is a Japanese bitter melon, kombu, which is seaweed or sea kelp. They also eat cabbage, nori, again, which is seaweed, onion, soy sprouts, hekima, which is a cucumber-like vegetable, soybeans, sweet potato, peppers, and they'll drink a lot of jasmine tea. And here they talk a little bit about jasmine tea because apparently jasmine tea is a fantastic, has antioxidants firstly, but it's also great at controlling cholesterol and lowering blood pressure and improving circulation. So they talk a little bit in the book about jasmine tea and about the benefits. And some of the people who live in Okinawa, some of the Okinawans will drink jasmine tea 2-3 times a day. So they love it. It'll be like as part of every meal they'll consume it. Let's see, Adriana's saying, so true. I wake up early every day and usually meditate around 5:30 a.m. and love video chatting with my grandson. We love laughing together, and I also eat plant-based, no oil, no sugar, no dairy. Perfect. Well done, Adriana. And that's the way to go. So you're going to live till 100. TM saying, I do believe one elderly lady said she has never, yes, she's never eaten meat. Yes, I remember reading that quote as well. And yeah, some of them have not even ever eaten meat. And it makes sense. I mean, it just results in lower cholesterol, results in when the cholesterol is a lot lower, your heart's a lot healthier. And when your heart and your health is a lot healthier, you feel more motivated and inclined to pursue those things you do in everyday lives. Think about it. If you're not healthy, if you're not eating an optimal diet, and in my personal, slightly biased opinion, I think that eating a plant-based diet is the optimal diet for people if they want to live longer. But if you're not eating an optimal diet, then you're not healthy. Then you'll eventually, your health will decline at a either faster or more evident rate than the average some person who does. And when that happens, you can't physically engage in the activities that you love. So you have to now compromise those things that you love, like gardening, like engaging in dances with your community members and doing things like these, maybe even laughing. And that also makes you step back a little bit from achieving your Ikigai. So remember, diet is extremely important. It helps you feel better. It helps you live better. It helps you engage in more activities. Let's see. Adriana's saying, I too drink a lot of water every day. And iodine drops and mineral drops. Yeah, good call, Adriana. Good call. Great. Yes, Joyce, seaweed. Seaweed's amazing. I love seaweed. People always say to me, Alex, you can't eat fish. How do you get your omega-3s? And I just get it from seaweed. I eat seaweed a few times a week, and it's great. Now, that's where the omega-3s in fish comes from, the seaweed, because I have to eat the seaweed to get the omega-3s. So I just eat the seaweed. Hey, Lois, lovely to see you. Suzanne has got a question. Is this longevity in Okinawa for both men and women? Great question. So the women in Okinawa generally live a little bit longer than the men, But I think that's the case in all over the world, right? Women in general live longer than men, right? So they did touch on that in the book, and it's mostly the women who live longer than the men. But yeah, but the Ikigai applies to men as well in Okinawa. So basically, the men do things as well. They will engage in activities that fulfill their needs and their purpose, and it doesn't it applies to both genders. But I think that statistically, women live longer than men, even in Okinawa. So that's an advantage you ladies have. Yeah, so jasmine tea is quite delicious. I love seaweed as well, TM. Seaweed salads are great. But jasmine tea is great. And they talk about that. They talk about green tea. They talk about jasmine tea. They also talk about, oh, so yeah, another benefit of tea, it protects against the flu, they say. Tea promotes bone health, protects against certain bacterial infections, against UV damage, and it cleanses the body. So they talk a lot about that as well as part of the diet. They also talk about this fruit called shikuwasa. I don't know if you've heard of shikuwasa. It's like a citrusy fruit, and it's very popular in Okinawa now. Could that be the difference between them living till over 100 and us? Who knows? Who knows? But it is a very popular fruit in Japan in general. Very acidic, according to the book. So you can't just drink it without, it's a bit like lemon, right? You can't drink it without diluting it with water. But they say that it's like a bit of a lime. It tastes like a bit of a lime. So the shikuwasa contains high levels of nobiletin, which is a very rich antioxidant. But that said, in the book, they also talk that they also say that you can eat other citrusy fruits. You can eat grapefruits, oranges, lemons, and they're all good for you. They all serve very important purposes in helping us grow healthy. So yeah, that was a very interesting thing that stood out for me personally in the book. Let me just have a quick little look. So we talked about the 80% rule. So yeah, Suzanne saying no desserts, no sweets, no chocolate. Just kidding. You're not kidding. We all love desserts. I think that's a good question. I don't know if they do eat like desserts. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure in the book when I was reading it, I came across a passage in which they talked about desserts. But yeah, as TM just said, they do it in moderation. Very important to do these things in moderation because sugar at the end of the day, sugar is bad for you, right? Salt is bad for you, but if you do it in moderation, it won't affect you negatively, I suppose. At the end of the day, we're all human. We can't. What is a fulfilling life if dessert's not included in it, right? So, how would I sum up my experience of Ikigai? I would say that Ikigai basically, as we said before, Ikigai is one's purpose in life. It is one's means for living. In other words, your Ikigai involves you doing something that you're passionate about for the rest of your life and not stopping it. Just because you've now retired, just because you are no longer receiving a paycheck or working, doesn't mean you have to stop engaging in stimulating activity. Gardening, it can be working on a project like a mandala or a knitting project, or even fixing a car, or if you're a male or female, or doing something, but always be involved in something that keeps your mind active, something that keeps you very, motivated to continue living. They do mention meditation. A lot of the people who engage in Ikigai, they do meditate, but a lot of them also mention that for them meditating also includes just, engaging in art, creating artwork, painting, origamis, what is it they said they do? Qigong is another important practice they engage in, which is like Tai Chi a little bit, but it's meditation and movement. So, and look at people who meditate. If you can ensure that you are active, and you're always, you know, running fueled by a purpose in life, then you will live a healthier and more fulfilling life. And meditation helps you achieve that. Meditation helps you, understand you better, understand your dharma, your passions, your ikigai a lot better. Yes, absolutely, Stephanie. It's so important. Card games are so important. Keeping your mind active is very, very important. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. So I'm glad that you guys can be part of my meditations because I want you to live for another 100 years. I mean, I just want you to live as long as possible, and I want to help you. I want to help you live a fulfilling and happy life, and that's why I do meditation. Believe me, for me, my ikigai is spreading the love of mindfulness and meditation to the world. That is my purpose. That is my dharma. And it brings me a lot of joy to know that I can help you live a happier and longer life. Adriana is saying, I love green matcha tea. Well, matcha green tea is actually my favorite tea. So yeah, I love that too. And yeah, I was actually, when Eriko from Japan was down in Melbourne, we caught up for a coffee and she was telling me about how passionate she is about matcha. So yeah, it was nice. Let's see. Yeah, of course, Natalie. So I'll answer your question after this, Suzanne. So this is what the book looks like. I spilt a bit of coffee on it, unfortunately, last month. Ikigai, and this is the back. Yeah. So this is Ikigai, and there is a little quote at the beginning. Where is it? Only staying active will make you want to live to 100 years. And that quote itself is profound. That's a Japanese proverb, Only by staying active will you have the desire to live over 100 years. Easy book to read, as TM just said. Easy book to connect to. Suzanne saying, is there a word like ikigai in Buddhism? Is there a word like ikigai? Well, I mean, I suppose not specifically. There is a word called dharma, which is I'm not sure if it's a Buddhist word. It's Sanskrit, so it's probably originates from Hinduism, which is where Buddhism originates from. But so dharma, I would say, would be the closest thing that comes to my mind to ikigai. But it's a great question. I'd have to look more into if in the Buddhist scriptures themselves there is a word that is equivalent to ikigai. But dharma would be the next word that comes to my mind, which is in Sanskrit just means one's purpose in life, which is ultimately a very similar word to, dharma, TM, exactly, which is a similar word to ikigai. So yeah, that's it. So that is the Japanese secret to a healthy, long and fulfilling life. And it's as simple as never stopping to work, always do something. Always do something. Again, they talk in the book about how there's this Western concept of once you've retired, you're just sitting on a bench in a park all day and just staring out and watching people. And that's not healthy. That's not good. Always do something. Always find a hobby. I was walking down the street the other day and they had a big Tai Chi class. And I was like, that's awesome. Tai Chi is great. Tai Chi is a great way to do something, keep the body active, find a hobby, gardening, or just join a certain club, which not only will help you cultivate a sense of community, but it'll also inspire you to get out of bed more often and do more things and grow and get better at things. So there's that. That's the first point. Always be doing something, even though you've retired. So Suzanne saying retirees not doing anything is a big misconception. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I've been subjected to this misconception. Maybe you're right. But we also have to take it with a grain of salt and understand that we have to understand that what these people are doing is different to what we are doing. And, we have to also be humble enough to accept that maybe there are things that we can take from their lives that we can apply to our own lives. Remember, Suzanne's got a good point. It is a big misconception. There are a lot of retirees who are always doing something 100%, which also makes me feel like, does it go beyond that as well? Personally, and I'm not even kidding you, I think the most important thing that I gathered from this book is the diet. It is the diet. I want you to know the two things: diet and not stressing. Stress-free diet and community. Most important things. So eat healthy, eat a very, very healthy diet, low in sugar, low in salt, high plant-based diet, and that will be the key to a long, happy, and fulfilling life. Sleep is very important as well. So they actually mention sleep in the book. They sleep for 7 to 8 hours a day. They wake up very early as well. Exercise, well, yeah, absolutely. They exercise, and sometimes exercise can involve gardening, can involve doing something that is physically demanding activity, but exercise is extremely super important. But diet to me is what will get you to the promised land. Purpose and diet, because when you have purpose, you want to live. So set a goal, set a purpose, and not that you don't already. I'm pretty sure you do, but I'm just going by what they talked about in the book. Kathy, your book is due to arrive, or will soon to be arriving. So I hope you enjoy it. It's it's great. It was a fun read, and I might actually read it again one more time. So you, Alex, are going to be 120. I don't know about that. I am a man. I do have the disadvantage of being born male. So I think that I'm going to have to work harder than a lot of you to get to that point. But you know what? For me, it's not about living till 120. For me, it's just about giving back as much as I can to the world within this short period of time that I'm in this world, and leaving the world knowing that I've brought value to the people around me. That to me is, my purpose in life. And, it's not even about me. My purpose in life is more about bringing value, bringing love, bringing happiness to those that I come across in life. So, and if I can do that, then I've achieved my purpose, my Ikigai. Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that. So, yeah. Thanks, TM. So, guys, it's my pleasure, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed this book, and may we all live till 120, right? I mean, we still have decades more going. Yeah, exactly, Joyce. Waking up early is very, very important. When you wake up early, you feel, firstly, when I meditate, let's just talk about meditation for a second. When I meditate, the best time for me to meditate is in between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. So I get up at 5:30 every single morning, and I meditate at 6 a.m. And the reason I do that is because it's easier to meditate at those times. I feel like the world is more quiet. I mean, you guys are probably way into your days, but for me, it feels like my world here in Melbourne is more quiet. There's no cars on the street. Everything is shut. So I just feel like things are, it's a lot easier to be in that habit of meditating. So I'll meditate at 6 o'clock, finish at 6:30, and then I'll do my activities, yoga, running, whatever I need to do. And I find that when by 7 o'clock in the morning, by 7:30, your day's already, you're good to go. So you're ready to shower, you're good to start your day. I'll usually start my work day at around 8 o'clock. So, like today. Today I started this at 8 o'clock, so now I'm good to go. So, love you guys. And this is why I also love doing my early meditations on Insight Time. I usually start my meditations at 7:30. So I've got a good hour and a half, 2 hours to prepare before. Some days are harder than others. Some days involve less sleep than others. Some days are just harder to get out of bed, but you just have to keep pushing through. Well, I just have to keep pushing through and bring you those meditations so I can see you grow and see you, live a more fulfilling life, because you bring me happiness by being happy. So yeah, that's very true. So thank you so much. Excellent chat, Alex. Thank you for recommending this book. Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate you saying that, and thank you for being open to reading this book. If you'd like, I'm happy to recommend another book if you want. Otherwise, if you finish this book and you're looking for a new mindfulness book, I've read a lot, so I'm happy to recommend another one. You get the book, definitely. This is like our own little book group, 100%. Ruth is saying, "You're welcome, Adriana." Perfect, Stephanie. Yeah, get the book, Stephanie. Have a read or a listen. It's definitely worth your time. Another book, since we're on the topic of books, I could recommend would be. I've actually read a lot of books this year. I'm trying to read 30 mindfulness meditation books a year, so I've read quite a few. But one that I read earlier in the year is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. That's a very good book. So that could just be the next book. If you want to read a book about mindfulness, meditation, Jay Shetty is fantastic at delivering that message. He does it in such a very easy to digest way, and he explains things very well. And he's also got a very good podcast called On Purpose. But he is a fantastic mind, and so I highly recommend you check out his book, Think Like a Monk. And you love Jay Shetty, perfect. Yeah, well, it's a good book, among many others that I've read. So I'm happy to recommend a new book. Once you're done with this, we can talk about another book. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for your. Is he a monk himself? Okay, well I'll quickly touch on Jay Shetty's story. So Jay Shetty he used to be a monk. He's a British man of Indian heritage, and he was a bit of a troublesome kid, teenager. He, get up to no good every so often, and then and he, as he was sussing out which university he should go to and what he should do next in his life, he came across a monk. I think it was a Hare Krishna monk initially. And then he went to India and just lived with the monks for a little bit, and then went back, finished his studies, and then he went and lived full time with the monks, and he became a proper monk for years, for a period of, I think it was 4 years. He became a monk, and he lived with them, and he studied the God, what is it called? He studied their scriptures. Sorry, my brain's still early charging. He studied the scriptures, and he really immersed himself in it, and he became a monk, and he became a very good monk. And then he decided that he wants to go back and live with his family again, so he left the monk lifestyle, and he spread his message. And he's one of the greatest minds that you can listen to, because he speaks in a very relatable way. He's very easy to connect to and to relate to, and he's very knowledgeable about the topic. And he's got some good pearls of wisdom in that book. I mean, it was a long time ago that I read this book, but I mean, a long time ago, as in 9 months ago. But yeah, Vedic monk. Yeah, the Vedic scriptures, the Upanishads. Oops, sorry, I got too excited there. The Upanishads, which is the Vedic scriptures. Thanks for the ignition, TM. I appreciate it. Yeah, he was a Vedic monk for a Hindu Vedic monk. So yeah, it was fantastic, and he's so smart, and so yeah. So yeah, have a read if you get a chance. Check him out, and look, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be heading to into nature somewhere. I think I might go to. There's a Zen garden in the Fitzroy Gardens, so I think we might go down to the Japanese Zen garden and just do a nice little talk about Zen Buddhism and about meditation, and just learn a little bit more. And I think that'll be fun. So I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, his book's on YouTube. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So you can find that on YouTube as well, Ruth. Good find. And yeah, have a listen. I think you'll love his book. A lot of pearls of wisdom. So I'll see you tomorrow for our Zen walk. I'm excited. It'll be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for your company, for just being such an important part of my life, and looking forward to us all living till 120 and beyond. Love you guys. Speak soon, my friends. Oops. Speak soon. I'll chat to you soon. Lots of love.